Welcome to Gate City Chatter. This is your host, Josh Sherrick, back for another episode here with my co-host, Matt Phelps.
Hi, folks.
And we have a really special guest today, our friend Spencer Conover.
That's me.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Yeah?
How are you,
Thanks
Josh?
for joining us on the Chatter, man.
You know we were doing a little leg slap.
Yeah. We're leg slapping territory.
That's true.
We are here at the Crown Theater for all of our video watchers, for our audio listeners. You can imagine it's a beautiful theater here at the top of the Carolina Theater. It's called the Crown.
The Crown.
At the Carolina Theater.
Actually, the Crown at the Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Because everyone knows what the Carolina is.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
What is the Carolina? Because I'm not.
It's branding. Okay. Yeah, give us a synopsis. Yeah,
little
so you
history.
work here, you do
Yep,
fundraising here,
yep.
you have a real official title.
Yep,
What is
yep.
your official title?
My official title is Director of Development.
Cool.
And that,
Fancy?
Yeah, that's development in the sense of fundraising.
Yeah.
Or I like to think of it as keeping things moving, going forward, and
Did
making.
anybody ever ask you how development became known as like fundraising? I've always wondered this. Like
Yeah.
early in my career, I'm like, what does development mean? But
It might have been
it's just a fancy word for fundraising.
You know, fund development is
Okay.
something that you hear every now and then. So you're developing the funds to help
Sure.
an organization run. But also, anytime you think of like the need of a nonprofit or of an organization, you think of developing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we need to develop this program or develop this building into something better.
Or develop
And
relationships.
So it's just broadly development.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah,
doing that
develop
here.
relationships.
You've been here for
Almost 18 months.
almost
yeah.
18 months.
Mhm.
You've done a great job from what
Thank
I
you.
can
Thank
tell.
you. Yeah, it's been fun.
This space here, the Crown, has been really popping, right?
Yep.
You've really developed. Was this used to be like a storage room or something?
Right.
I mean, it wasn't always an entertainment.
No,
space.
it wasn't. And I'll say we have a great team here that what I do is kind of support the work of our programming staff, which includes our executive director, Brian Gray. Amanda Laughlin has done the lion's share of the talent buying for the Crown over the past year or two, and some others are involved, in community folks too. So I support them. I can't take any of the credit for that activity up here, but
You can.
I can a little bit. But you asked about what this room was.
Yeah, yeah.
And the theater, opened on Halloween night in 1927. It was built for, it was built for vaudeville. They had these big variety shows. And so with vaudeville, you had to have a big stage and a bunch of dressing rooms and a place to fly all the backdrops and everything. And it was a business. It was a, entertainment, show business, commercial enterprise.
Cool.
And this space, the other part of vaudeville was movies or silent films, and they were silver nitrate film, and that stuff is very volatile. It can catch on fire,
Yeah.
and really have to keep it safe. So this room did many things. It was kind of a workshop, an office, storage room, but also a vault where they kept the film. They had a special vault within these walls.
Interesting.
Yep, and they kept the film in there in case it exploded or caught on fire or whatever.
Cool.
Another thing that this room was over the years was a print shop, and we have some remnants that are plastered on the wall from back
I saw
1920s era
I saw 'em
posters.
over there,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that stuff was happening up here.
When does the theater open? When was the Carolina? What was
Halloween
it?
night, 1927.
1927.
Yep, we're 92 years old.
So right before the Depression.
They didn't
Yep.
call them movies back then or films. They called them picture shows.
Picture shows.
Picture shows.
Picture shows.
Or the magic screen.
So now you host concerts in here, you
Yep.
speaking events. I've been to a couple shows here. I saw the Spartans play Dead up here.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool little venue. The sounds good. You got
Yeah.
curtains all the way around. Great lighting, as folks can see on the video right now. But
That's right.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about the Crown is since it's part of the theater, you get the access to the staff who are, 10, 20, 30 years experience in this industry. And our sound engineer, who's been working the majority of the shows over the past couple years, is a man named Joe Kinde.
Okay.
And Joe has some Grammy credits on recording on albums. He was a musician in New York City. He grew up that way and played just about every instrument in a very commercial band that was getting booked for a lot of parties. It was kind of a variety band, so
Right.
I got really into a lot of different types of music. And then he's also been a touring engineer for a number of
Wow.
national and internationally touring artists. And he also was for a while one of the PA technicians and engineers for audio and light. So his job would be to go to different venues, build a PA that day, tune the PA, and then mix the show. And tuning a PA is something that kind of gets forgotten a lot on different levels, and then mixing. And so he brings a whole artistic approach to what he's doing mixing wise, and to really tune the PA and get it right. And this room can be a challenge, but he gets it like really well.
Sound engineers in general get the short, don't they? I mean, because most of the time they're working backstage as it is anyway, out of the public eye.
Well, a lot of them like to be in the shadows, you know. It's not, lately there's been this thing where you're like the heroic, heralded, you know, art
Josh knows. Josh
you know,
knows.
front of house engineer, champion, you know, of all things. And I've just kind of pumped up Joe in that way, but really they like to be in the shadows and just kind of quietly doing their thing, because they're not the performer, they're not on stage.
Right.
They're just there to make whatever it is louder and well blended.
Yeah, like a lot of jobs, like you're doing your job well if nobody notices. You know, and everybody just they hear it sounds good, feels good. You know, lighting is lighting. Like lighting is meant to be impressive and to add to
You know what
the
our
show.
buddy Alan Peterson says? You know, he's a touring engineer or lighting designer for what is it? Wood Brothers.
Yeah, the Wood Brothers.
What Alan always says is nobody leaves the show humming the lights. So he's like, you know, I got a job here, but you know,
Also,
I'm not going to steal a show.
And let's give Alan some props. Alan is our folk festival like head electrician, and he's a local musician. So check out Alan Peterson Music. He's like he's a great musician, running around all around Greensboro doing shows. Yeah, that's a good point. Nobody hums the lights.
Nobody
when they
hums
leave.
the lights.
They hum the sound.
Right.
That's good.
So.
That's cool. Well, that's awesome. I mean, this is a cool space. I dig it. So hopefully people visit it and check out the schedule. I'm sure you guys are always pumping shows up here.
Yeah, it's been really busy. And, you know, we would like to thank the city of Greensboro for that, too. We have been fortunate now going into our second year to receive some grant support for what we call an arts incubator, which is what we do up here in the Crown. We try to support emerging artists, whether they're local or national or sometimes international, that are on the rise. And, you know, our auditorium is 1,100 seats. This space is 150 seats or 200 standing. And, you know, that not every artist can fill 1,100 seats, but some of them can really fill up this room. And that's an important stage in their career. And so the city of Greensboro has provided some support to that. And with their help, we were able to ramp up what we did up here by, I calculated it increased our programming 169%.
Really?
Increase in events.
Did you tell the bosses that?
I did. I sure did.
Every day every day you walk in, tell the bosses, hey.
Yeah.
Tell my bosses that. Yeah. Hey.
And the reason we're able to do that is, you know, the Crown is a hard ticket venue. So it's a place where you really need to be able to sell tickets to support the overhead and to support the payment to the artists. And we do have a pretty, you know, significant overhead to operate the room, because all of our folks here, nobody owns the business, so we're not, you know, just working here because we own it. We're all staff that this is our job, this is how we put food on the table.
Right.
And so, you know, there's a lot that goes into every show here, from just the custodial crew that cleans up the space after an event, to the marketing team that puts the events on the website, to the box office manager who gets all the infrastructure built to sell tickets, and then, you know, crowd control and just the power, equipment. It's an expensive industry, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of people's time to put on a show. And so just kudos to all the venue operators in Greensboro and beyond that are slugging it out and just working really hard. There's been a lot of activity. Just like 2 weeks ago, I think it was Josh King posted on Facebook and was like, guys, we got some hard decisions to make. There were like 3 shows going on. Alan was here opening for Seth Walker. Josh, I think, was at the Flatiron. And there was something else really cool at the Blind Tiger. It was like all on the same night. And I think that was an indication of what we all want to see.
You don't hear that often. Yeah, that's a.
We want to see that, like,
that's a vibrant music scene.
Yeah. And to my knowledge, all of those shows did well.
That's
so
awesome.
that speaks too to every venue has its purpose in the market, and we can all support each other, and we're stronger. You know.
And I mean, you know, you look at. That's a good point, is that every venue has its purpose in the market and has its spot in the market and has its entry point for various levels of, you know, musicians. And that's really important. I mean, we got to have that as a robust music community. And I mean, the Coliseum just took advantage of a niche that they saw with the Piedmont Hall they just built. 2,000, standing room only, you know, and they have a lot of power out at the Coliseum for booking and the things that they do, their partnership with Live Nation. But that's filling a niche in the marketplace that allows all these musicians, whether or not they're full-on professional touring musicians or just trying to slug it out on their own.
Right.
That's good, and then that means our community is going to have that resource and let people come out and hear the music. And I mean, I love it. I think it really it speaks a lot to the quality of life, like the qualitative nature of what we living here, and that's hard to really put a finger on. Growing, like how do you grow the quality of life? Well, it's a lot of pieces, and and music is a huge part of it. So that's great. I also heard that I think I'm working with the Greensboro Comedy Festival. I think they're maybe use the space, don't they?
Have
as part of
yes.
their festival. I mean, that's kind of cool. I was talking to the comedy guy. I'm like, man, like I learned so much from having one meeting with this comedy festival director. And I was like, and it really resonates. Like, hey, they use a lot of venues around the city. They want just kind of find out how the city can raise up the awareness of what they're doing, and this is a part of it. So that's great, man.
Right.
That's cool. So you like this part of your job then, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Developing.
Heck yeah. And now you guys have done a bunch of improvements out in the big space, right?
Right.
Out in the 1100 seater. That was your first big campaign, right? Didn't you have a big fundraising campaign you were working on right when you started? Yeah.
So I like to tell stories. I want to tell a little bit of a story if I could.
Please. It's the point of the podcast.
The way we got here today. Well, first they built the building in 1927. Commercial enterprise, show business. Come on in, y'all. Let's make some money. And it was the only game in town at the time. And we got the first-rate films and everything. Well, then you had suburban sprawl and people leaving the center city. And so folks moved out to Friendly Center, and then there was there was another theater. So I can't remember what it was called, over on Battleground.
Okay.
But they had the multi-screen theater, so people started leaving downtown. And this theater, 1,100 seats, actually at the time was over 2,000.
Oh, wow.
For a movie. Have you ever been to a 2,000-seat movie theater? No. Because it just doesn't work anymore.
But it was the place to do it, yeah.
So anyway, long story short, the theater fell on hard times through the 60s and into the beginning of the 70s. And the place was a kind of second-rate kung fu movies and just not the best films
kind
that
of
were
my
coming
jam,
in.
actually.
Yeah.
But bring that back.
Yeah. And it had two possible destinies. One, a parking lot, or B, an adult movie. Which
I don't know what those are.
Apparently there's a thing. You go to a movie theater and, there you go. So we didn't want any of those things to happen. So in steps the Arts Council, then United Arts Council of Greater Greensboro, under the direction of the president at the time of the board, Betty Cohn. And she said, I think we have an opportunity here to preserve the administration business in Greensboro, but that's something we could really use. And then it becomes more of just playing gigs and actually being a self-sustaining artist. I know Evan Olson is a very published songwriter, and he could speak to that a lot, and he's given me some great advice. Benji Johnson with Earth Tones Recording. It's that whole industry community. And you do get that in a Nashville or a New York, and I think it's coming here, but kind of a rounder whole. There's not a label that's based out of Greensboro, but we could have a marketing company that specializes in how to self-release an album and things like that.
One other thing I always notice about Greensboro, Matt, you probably notice this too, is like there's an incredible diversity of musicians here. Like there's every genre, and it kind of fits that whole folk festival model. Why the folk festival works so well is that we have so many different types of musicians that are here. We have a lot of hip hop and R&B and country, and folk. We have all the different genres of musicians that are here creating. And I wonder, what you're talking about are these universal positions that are necessary for all the different, it doesn't matter what genre, it doesn't matter, where you're at in this process, you need to have these sort of resources to be able to continue to grow your craft. And that's really powerful for Greensboro. I mean, that's a really important part. And regionally too, there's power in the region with Winston and with, High Point.
That's right, that's a good point. There's, and actually power in the region, one of the really cool things that folks don't realize is that we have tons of very impressive production shops. Like, I think of Carry Sound, is a great local production company. Audio and Light is another one. SE Systems is another one, and then over in Winston is SES.
Yep.
And they came up with Hootie and the Blowfish, and they have
Ava
had
Brothers.
Ava Brothers, Zach Brown, SES.
Hootie?
Yeah.
Hootie.
Never heard of
Oh,
him.
you're making jokes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
there's a
I don't
joke.
do jokes.
That's
Matt's mainly the comedy guy.
Yeah.
Hootie and the Blowfish is a very famous country band.
He pivoted.
Right?
He pivoted.
He took a
Yeah,
right
yeah.
turn, hard
Yeah,
right turn.
Yeah. But SES also does the Avett Brothers, who started here. I saw the other day there was an anniversary of their show they did at the Green Bean. And
Oh, cool.
Pete Schroet
Yeah.
is probably a mutual friend of all of ours. But he sent me a text message. I asked him. I was like, here's. I was like, this is the first time you know got up with the Avett Brothers. It was like on it was a tweet that showed the poster of the show, and now full disclosure, Pete tours with them and does lighting for them and is just a part of their inner core. And he writes me back. He's like, yeah, and I almost didn't book them. He's like, I wasn't really going to book them, and I'm like, I want to hear this story.
Man, that's another
Maybe
thing.
on a podcast later, but I was like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to hear this story.
Another show.
But that was at Green Bean, a coffee shop
Yeah.
where they book music.
There
and-
are
and-
so many acts that I 4 years ago was just chomping at the bit to book, and I'm like making proposals to my teammates, you know, back then at Arts Greensboro and stuff, and we're like, yeah. Grammy. I'm like,
really?
and actually, to
Yeah.
that point, 2 Crown performers from 2019 have been featured in Rolling Stone's top country albums of 2019. Do you know who they were? One of them also just got a Grammy nomination.
Rhiannon Giddens.
Not Rhiannon, but related. Performed in The Crown. Okay.
Amethyst Khan.
Yeah, Amethyst Kia.
Yeah.
Mhm. And the other one is Emily Scott Robinson.
Emily Scott Robinson.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they were
Just
both
read this
named
yesterday.
Rolling Stone top country albums
Yeah.
of the year. And then Amethyst got a Grammy nomination for the song that she wrote for Songs of Our Native Daughters. And she played at the folk festival. I saw her there and I talked to her and I said, hey, we got this room called The Crown. We were able to bring her in. We had an awesome night. She just blew us away. And hopefully she can come back because I don't think she's quite graduated from this size, but it won't be long before we have no business
Well, you and I
bringing
were
her here.
So you and I worked together on the Levitt Amp series,
Yeah,
which was a
yep.
great.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a
No, it was
grant.
great, it was great.
It was a grant that paid for it, the Levitt Foundation, and then we hosted that concert out at Barber Park all summer long.
Yep.
And it's similar to what we do.
All summer.
All summer
That's
long.
right.
Well, speaking of the same thing, is the MUSEP series, Music
Uh-huh.
for a Sunday Evening at Park, all summer long here in Greensboro, live music every Sunday night at 6 o'clock. Well, we're going with a different model this year. We haven't
Cool.
really talked about this, so I guess I should not put it out publicly. But we're going to do a much
Spoiler alert.
a much different model
This
for,
is-
for booking
this is
these
going
acts.
out publicly,
Instead
so-
of just booking acts that make sense and we've used before and whatever, we're going to open it up and offer, just find out who's interested in performing and really make it not like a judgment necessarily, but we're gonna just pitch it out there to people and see who wants to perform.
Cool.
And really kind of rise up and provide an opportunity
Right.
all summer long, 2 acts a night. I mean, it's 25 bands or something. Give them the opportunity to come out in this series that's already really successful and has 1,000, 2,000
cool.
people each show. So that's really excited. We're
Yeah.
gonna do that. Try to, that's.
Are you
from
going to have
this-
like a voting model or is it going to be an internal sort of panel review?
We're
Or?
not real sure yet. We're not
Yeah.
really sure how we're gonna work all that out. But these
One of the
these
nice things
music
about
series are cool. I mean,
Levitt is that they had the voting thing and you can get people to sign up to vote.
Yeah.
And that gives people, they're bought in from the day one. And then when you're ready to have the series, you're like, hey, here it comes. You voted for this. And like, oh, yeah. And then they come out, which is a
Yeah, I
Smart way to
visited
do it.
in October. I went to Chattanooga, and they have one of the
Yeah.
Levitt. They have one of the Levitt
Shell.
shell venues there
Right.
that Levitt pays for. The Levitt Foundation's amazing. They really care about the music and access to music in communities that need it. I think they're out of LA, right?
Yep.
They're out of LA, so yeah, that's cool. Well, so the scene is good. So you have an optimistic view on not only the current status, but as young people when they want to. Either they graduate here, there's places to go to school, there's places to get the education, there's places to get the experience, and as a musician, there's opportunity here too. You
Yes.
believe in it. That's
yes,
great, man.
absolutely.
What about in a perfect world, 5 years from now? Where do you see Greensboro when it comes to the music scene? Or 10 years from now?
Yeah, I see a sold out show at the Crown 40 weeks out of the year, at least one.
Seems reasonable.
That'd
Very
be cool.
reasonable, yeah.
I see the same for places like the Flatiron, probably more there. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're walking down past a restaurant maybe it's Elm Street, maybe it's Battleground, maybe it's Green, I don't know. And there's music playing, there's musicians there, people are tipping.
A strong busking, busking atmosphere.
Self-initiated tipping.
Yeah.
You know, there's another nationally touring artist that grew up out of Greensboro, like Rhiannon. There's, you know, local artists getting national press.
Right.
And they're still living here, you know, they haven't moved away. People moving back from Durham to Greensboro to live here, because we lose a lot of musical talent to Durham.
Yeah.
And Claire, I'm talking about you. And Johanna.
I see a music festival. I see a different style music festival that is decentralized away from just the standard street closures and creates these pockets of music, live music all over the city. Like, I would love that. I would love to be able to take these concerts and take them to the neighborhoods and take them to places and put them into the neighbors and into the community in different places. I think there's future for that, you know, like taking, but it's a big effort, and
there's plenty of space for it. I feel like, you know, you start talking about all the parks and everything, and some of the parks that we have that have that sort of space that's really ideal for performances and things like that. I mean, I feel like that adds room for expansion and growth.
Well, and there might be a partnership opportunity with GTCC, because their students need work-based learning hours. Yeah. And they could get out there and produce some of those concerts.
Well, with the Creative Arts Master Plan that is being implemented now, Ryan Deal's our new guy leading that effort, and you know, part of that's going to be the municipal government putting a very concentrated and directed effort in providing not only money but a variety of resources all throughout the community at all different levels to support music and all the arts. I mean, visual arts, all versions of art, but you know, if in 5 years, I bet that's going to be a pretty robust program and really, you know, hopefully we're not playing catch up anymore and we're leading the way, I think, in that realm. So there's good stuff coming, I believe.
I know. Yeah, it's keep slogging it out.
That's right. Well, I appreciate you giving your talents, your energy, your positive spirit,
your passion.
Your passion.
Likewise,
man. I really do appreciate it, man. You've been a great servant to our creative community.
Thank you, Josh.
And I appreciate
you
that.
too.
Hey, man.
You too.
We're here to help. We're here to help, right, Matt?
I wish I could keep up with you.
Team, really.
Yeah.
You should see us.
If you see Josh, chances are Spencer is no more than 9 feet away at any given time during Folk Festival or whatever it might be.
The best story that I can remember of working with you is Spencer and I both went and worked at the Richmond Folk Festival. And it was a year we had was it Hurricane Michael or Hurricane Florence? Matthew.
I don't know.
Came through there and dumped an unbelievable amount of rain on this festival site, which is all outdoors, and down around the James River. And Spencer and I spent literally 3 straight days slinging straw and wood and
futile attempts
in just
push back the floodwaters.
And I think you might have had those boots.
Not these.
But I remember we'd squish our feet down and water would just pulsate out of it.
One of the stages was so it's down next to the James River, and one's on an island. Okay. And another stage was in a dry canal. Yeah. In a canal.
In a canal that has been
dried up. What do you think
up.
happens to a canal? A former canal. In a hurricane.
Yeah.
Nothing good.
Yeah. All the natural
becomes a canal again.
All the natural topography says water fills it up.
If you were standing at the stage watching, you'd been in that much water. It was crazy.
So it was a great experience, though, right?
Yeah, it was.
We learned a lot about it.
I thought you were going to talk about my trash bag kilt.
Your trash bag kilt? Yeah. Because you didn't have proper
had shorts
rain
on,
gear.
And what is proper rain gear in that? I mean, come on.
There is no proper rain gear.
And I'm like, let me just put this trash bag kilt on.
Even the best rain gear, fails after a certain level of hurricane.
You need that really expensive. I think it's called like Helly Hansen or Kelly Hansen.
Oh yeah, Helly Hansen.
For sailing.
Yeah.
Because you're riding around in golf carts. It's kind of like sailing.
It was so brutal. It was so brutal. It was laughable wet. Laughable wetness.
I'm glad I didn't have to pay the tab on residing the island, though. That probably wasn't too cheap.
Yeah. Yikes. Well, this has been a great podcast, Spencer.
There's one thing I should mention.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You asked me what we've done in the campaign, and I want to give you that.
Yeah.
So far in our capital campaign, we have, our goal has been to raise $2.5 million. We're over 2,440,000. And so far, what we've done with that money is, we put in new seats in the auditorium. The old ones were like 60 years old. That's an old seat.
Probably.
So we have brand new seats. We put a new carpet throughout the building. We renovated and expanded the restrooms downstairs. One of them got expanded. The others all got renovated for the auditorium. We installed a concert-grade line array PA system. It's this big, really nice speaker system made by a company called Meyer. Meyer Laboratories. They're the same company that's making the fancy PA for the Tanger Center. We installed new LED lighting on the stage in the auditorium. We just put in a high-definition video projector. We have an audio loop that runs throughout the auditorium that provides sound reinforcement to hearing aids. And let's see.
This has all been done already.
We've already
over
done
the
all
last
this
couple
stuff.
years with the beginning money
That's
of
right.
that process.
We also renovated our concession stand, and we inspected our facade. The facade is 90 years old. It's been out in the weather for 90 years, and it needs a little bit of work. And so we just had to poke around to see how bad that is. That's going to be a big job fundraising in the next few years. And we've replaced some hot water heaters and boilers and tanks and all kinds of physical plant stuff. We updated all the dressing rooms in the back of backstage for the auditorium, and now we're setting our sights on the crown for that $300,000 renovation that we want to do up here.
So when people come here, they're not getting an old 1927 building anymore, or even the 1970s. This is a historical entertainment venue that has new amenities.
Exactly.
And
Historic
that's amazing.
venue with modern amenities.
That's awesome.
And technology.
And you got an atmosphere that separates you from everybody else in town.
That's right.
Really.
Yeah.
We like to be intimate, obviously smaller, than some of the other places. Intimate, approachable, very high-touch customer service, and the historic charm you can't replicate. So it's that everyday sort of thought of, hey, let's go down to Carolina.
Nice.
I've been there so many times. I know exactly what to do. The parking's easy. The prices aren't bad. The shows are great. The seats are comfortable. It's a high-class facility. It's like being in Vegas, I think.
There
it's
any
a
big
really
shows?
good entertainment facility.
Anything big coming up this spring that you are super pumped about?
We have MIPSO on January 19th.
Ooh, I love me some Mipso.
Greensboro rooted band MIPSO.
In the big space or
in
up
the
here?
auditorium,
Oh, wow.
January 19th.
Heck yeah.
Then we have the Almond Betts Band, which is
yeah.
sons of Dickie Betts and Greg Almond.
Yes, they're real hot
Yep,
right now.
yep.
When is that?
That is,
February?
I think it's February 20th.
All right, you count me in. Count me in.
I will. And then we're going to be announcing Winona Judd here in a couple weeks.
Sweet.
Winona.
Sweet.
You just did.
You just did.
That's right. There's a lot. CarolinaTheater.com.
That's awesome. Okay.
/events.
Heck yeah. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate you being on the podcast. Matt, you got anything else you want to add?
No.
You heard anything from great listeners lately? This is the first episode of our newest go at it here. Season.
I mean, we got a little bit of feedback from the last one. Everybody's happy to see. The traffic has been good and everything else. In regards to the Carolina Theater in general, over the summer I worked for the Children's Home Society.
Yeah.
You guys gave them a bunch of tickets for the kiddos.
Oh, great.
So I don't know what program that was specifically, but I specifically remember coming over here and getting a stack of tickets. So some of the foster kids that are associated with their programs could come in here and watch some of the summer programming.
That's right.
So that was a big deal. It made a bunch of kids happy, and so I know you guys do a bunch of other stuff like that throughout the community. That shouldn't go
Thank you for
unsaid.
mentioning that.
It's great impact.
We have about 30,000 children and youth that come here every year.
Yeah.
And we have field trips from Guilford County and the 8 surrounding counties as well.
It's huge. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, until next time, I think.
And there's something else I need to add.
You got anything else? You got any shout outs you want to
No.
put? Anybody else you want to put on?
Our Carolina Theater staff
give DAP to? Okay.
works so hard.
Heck yeah.
I mean, we've had a crazy volume of events lately, and there's so much that goes into every one of those, and they work really, really hard. So my colleagues
Kudos to
on
them.
the Carolina Theater staff,
Kudos to
A+.
them. Kudos to them.
and our board of directors as well.
Nice.
This will be the last episode before the holiday.
Yes.
So the next episode will be out sometime in January, early to mid-January, hopefully.
So we hope everybody has a great holiday.
Exactly.
They eat all the.
Can they come down here and catch a Nutcracker showing?
They can. There's a lot going on.
Nutcracker.
Holiday movies, all kinds of stuff.
Fantastic.
Eat a bunch of pie. Have some eggnog. Yeah, I love that.
Cider,
A little bit of eggnog.
A little bit of
beer,
eggnog.
wine.
Yeah.
liquor,
Safe
all
travels.
that.
Safe travels to all of our listeners. It's gonna be great. All right. Well, until next time, I'm Josh Eric, my friend Spencer Conover, and my co-host Matt Feltz. We appreciate you, Chatterheads, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Chatterheads. All right. Zing.
All right.